Hey everyone, welcome back to Low Budget Logistics, your logistics and supply chain explainer. Today we're going to be continuing to talk about the really buzzy stuff in the world of the supply chain. Today's topic is zone skipping. Now, the regular customer, you're never going to understand what this is or why this is important and why so many people are trying to take advantage of it as a thing, which is why you're watching the channel. So please leave a like, comment, subscribe to the video. If you enjoy it and you want more of this type of content, let me know in the comments below. So like I said, let's get into it. So zone skipping is really it's a play for parcel, and it's very much a thing in the world of e-commerce. I'm seeing a lot of companies try and get into some solution like this because it could be extremely advantageous for them. There's a few things that we need to talk about because as everything transportation related, it's complex, it's nuanced, and you need to sort of know what you're doing before you start getting into it. So without further ado, let's start by saying what zone skip is not and how companies typically ship your order to you. Now, in a normal e-commerce environment, what's going to happen is that you're going to place an order to the company, and that order will be filled into one of their distribution centers. There might only be a handful nationwide, probably something like 2 or 3. If they're sort of doing their own distribution, there might be as many as 10, depending on their size. There's lots of reasons for that, but there are going to be a small amount of them. They're going to be large places. They're going to be typically near population centers. So you may have one. I say 3. 3 is a good number because you're going to have one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and one somewhere in the middle of the country to hit the population in kind of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and the Chicago, Indiana area as well. So what's going to happen, right? We'll say this little blue dot here is our e-commerce warehouse. They're going to fulfill the order here, and then it will ship to the transportation company's nearest location, and it will inject at that point. Inject is a technical term in the world. And so that will be the starting location for that package. And then let's say, for whatever reason, your package needs to go across the country, right? The U.S. is a big place. It needs to ship across the country into the next sortation center for you. So in the world of like a UPS, FedEx, it may hit 3 or 4 distribution centers to get to that place. They might be doing a bulk load depending on kind of where they're going. So let's say best case scenario, you place an order, you live on the East Coast in like New York City, and that order unfortunately is fulfilled out of Los Angeles, California. What will typically happen is that whatever the parcel provider is, they'll put that shipment on a truck, and that truck will make the full distance across the U.S. What might happen as well is that it might also just go through several different stops within that transportation company's network, and then it will finally get delivered to your home. Now, that obviously is a miserable process. It's not fun. No one likes to do it, and it costs money. It costs more money for the shipper. It costs more money for the carrier. It's an expensive process to have all those facilities. It's an expensive process to do all of that handling. And so the carriers will charge shippers accordingly. So the way of the world, there's typically 8 zones across the country. They're based off of where you start at. And so a cross-country move like that may be a zone 8. It could be a zone 7 or a zone 6, depending on where you are and where the starting points are. Lots of different things. But you will get charged more for a higher zoned package. That's what I want you to take away from this. Zone skipping, right, as you can start to understand, is saying, well, what if instead of you doing the move here on your truck, what if I did it myself, right? If I have enough volume to fill up a full freight load, a full truck, why wouldn't I just do that myself? I know that a cross-country move might be, $1,400, but I'm going to make that up because shipping that same volume on the carrier side may be another $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in added expense that I don't have to do. And so what's going to happen is that instead of this being your starting location, this is your starting location, and that's a much closer shipment. So instead of being a zone 6 or 7, it could be a zone 2 or 3, which is way cheaper in the world of parcel. It's so much easier to do. And if you're able to negotiate with your carrier, you can drop that pricing down way low. You can get way cheaper because they know that they're not having to do all this work, and they should reflect that in your rates when you negotiate with them. That's an important thing. Now, this is going to be fun for you freight brokers out there who watch. If you're able to provide this solution, you will have cornered a market, because this is the way of the world. This is where I see most e-commerce companies are trying to move to. They may not be able to because they don't have the volume, right? If I'm only shipping out maybe 2-3 pallets worth of stuff a day, let's say in a low season, well, I need to find a way to get the other 22, 23 pallets of space on a truck filled up to make it worth my while. Well, if you're a freight broker, you might be able to coordinate all those packages getting put in the same truck in the same day and moving to the same location at the end, right? And doing this that the carrier is going to do, you could be doing that yourself. And so that's zone skipping. It's really fascinating. It is difficult to do. It's tough to do because as you start adding, you need to work with your carrier to know the nodes that you can start putting volume into. Now, that can kind of get tricky because you're gonna obviously want to push those nodes as close as possible to your end customer, or where your customers typically live. And we sort of know where the population centers are, so you're gonna want to get as close as you can there. But they're gonna have to have available capacity to receive those goods, receive those packages into their sortation, and that's tricky because they don't have a whole lot of them, right? The neighborhood shops that you might see may not be able to handle the kind of inbound volume coming in, and so you're gonna have to sort of play this game of trying to find balance between what you're able to do and the amount of volume you're able to send to each location, and what they're able to do on their side and how their capacity works. Now, the other thing is that it requires a lot of coordination between the shipper, whoever is doing the actual line haul move here, and the carrier themselves, who will do the final mile. And you need to have good communication across those 3 different places to provide forecasts and volume, to schedule trucks. And when there's problems, say at the distribution center for, let's say they're not able to process volume out, you might get hit with some fees, right? A truck order not used fee for this. You may have some changes in how things go, but overall, it's a really good and really great strategy to sort of work towards if you can find a way to find the volume to get there. You could also use this for retail stores as well. So anything that might be going parcel, you could bulk it all up together and ship on the same truck. So that's a nice thing there, and getting to that omni-channel world. The other thing that makes this slightly difficult is that when you're doing accounting, you typically want to know, you want to be able to allocate those dollars to specific channels and to sort of orders. It can get a little muddy based off of how much you might be filling a truck up with and what the cost per order might be. So it might play with your KPIs. What I've typically done is just kind of lump everything all in together and say, hey, I spent $100,000 on trucks to get volume injected into a system. I spent another $2 million on top of that for the actual final mile delivery. So all told, it's say $2.2 million divided across another million packages, right? So you can do the math there. I'm not gonna do it for you. But that's sort of how you might do your KPIs and the type of things that you might look at. Again, look at it more in the aggregate, less in the individual, because there's going to be fluctuations on what you're able to fit on a truck and how many orders. So take an average, do aggregates. Don't get too stressed about the numbers. Know that overall it will be the better solution if you're able to do it. All right, so quick one today about zone skipping. It's a fascinating thing. The world of e-commerce is catching up into this idea. It takes a lot of coordination between you and your carrier and whoever else might be doing the actual LTL or FTL movements for you. And so it's easy in theory. The devil is always in the details on this stuff. And how your rates might be structured. You might have, the same pricing for every zone based off of weight. There could be a lot of things in there, but it's worth at least digging into and trying to understand more. It's worth a conversation with whatever carrier you might be using. And if you are a freight broker, it might be worth you looking into and maybe selling or pitching your clients on, because it could be worthwhile for them to have you as a solution. It also takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of work. So if you're going to go into it, it's going to be worth the effort, but you're going to have to put some effort into it. So all that being said, thanks so much for watching the video. Please like, subscribe to the channel. The growth has been phenomenal. Like I said before, I will be on, I've been invited to an expert panel with ProShip on the Pros Who Know discussion. It's a virtual discussion. The link is below to sign up. So please, I hope you'll join me. And all that being said, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.